What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything you need to know about on a daily basis, including money, investing, the stock market, inflation, and recession, which is pretty much here in the United States already, and the fourth stimulus package update and a stimulus check update. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. And remember that new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also thanks for hitting the like button for us down below. President Biden has recently kind of let it out of the bag that they're probably going to be going through with $10,000 of student loan forgiveness. This comes as they have already done over $17 billion of student loan forgiveness, but only for certain groups of people, people with disabilities, people where their schools have closed on them or defrauded them, and people in the public service student loan forgiveness programs. You can see it directly here from Forbes in a headline here. But the president has basically kind of said here now that going forward, he is probably going to go through with the $10,000 of student loan forgiveness for everybody through executive order. Now, this is very controversial because a lot of people are like, well, what if I don't have student loans? And we've already paid off my wife's student loans. And I actually don't take any offense to this because I think that anybody that needs help should get the help. And remember, we've already talked about this. A lot of people pay on student loans for decades. Decades. It's so hard to get out of the debt of student loans. The problem is that interest just goes on forever, and that is it really just cripples so many people. And you're not even going to believe what Senator Elizabeth Warren here has to say. Let me show you this clip here. But this will kind of give you some perspective here. And I also think that there's going to probably be some other type of debt forgiveness for other people who don't have student loans. But let me show you this here. Check this out. And also, I'm going to show you here after this, we have another bill passed with checks coming from more Americans here that I'll show you here after this clip. Check this out.
This asinine, I want to pay off student debt, is an insult to the senior citizens, to the people who pay taxes, to people who decide, do I want to buy meat this week or pay for my medicine? That's hogwash. You got so many jobs, you got a great economy, let them work and pay off their bills just the way all of us do.
Well, that's certainly rich, coming from someone whose judicial campaign owed $600,000 in unpaid bills for more than a decade, but okay. Jeanine Pirro is unfortunately not the only person on the right with a bad take on student loans as President Biden considers forgiving some student debt. Laura Ingraham tweeted, "My mom worked as a waitress until she was 73 to help pay for our college, even help with loan repayment. Loan forgiveness, just another insult to those who play by the rules." Now, I will note that back in the 80s, before she became a Fox News star, Laura, who graduated from the Ivy League Dartmouth College in 1985, then University of Virginia Law School in 1991, worked for a top New York law firm as a speechwriter in the Reagan administration and as a clerk for Justice Clarence Thomas. Way to look out for your mom while still letting her pay off your student loans by slinging hash as a waitress into her 70s instead of just picking up the tab for her, Laura. But you know what? I feel like Laura actually did us a huge favor by explaining modern conservatism in a nutshell perfectly. Just put the working class on the wheel, even if they're family, while the affluent and the rich eat. And while they may be cruel, Republicans aren't dumb. They know that if President Biden and Democrats actually do something about student debt, it could activate young and progressive voters who overwhelmingly prefer Democrats when they vote. And so they have introduced a bill to try to block Biden from doing just that. But what about voters in the middle who say, hey, I paid off my loan, so other people should be able to do it as well? Well, see, that argument is usually presented without a lot of context. Take this report from Georgetown, which points out that today, 2 out of 3 jobs require an education beyond a high school diploma. While in the 1970s, 3 out of 4 jobs required a high school diploma or less. So a college degree is not a luxury. It's a necessity for most people who want to earn decent wages. It is a literal ladder into the middle class. But the price of college has skyrocketed. From 1980 to 2019, the cost increased by 169%. That is not a typo. While worker pay for those aged 22 to 27 years of age has increased by just 19%. That is the mismatch, y'all. You need the degree, but the degree puts you into so much debt, you still can't get ahead. And that means that your contributions to the economy are also limited. That is how we've gotten to a world where 43 million Americans collectively owe $1.7 trillion in student debt. That is a number that is only going to keep rising. With me now, Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts. And Senator, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. And, I will note that, I graduated, I had a lot of scholarships. I graduated with about $15,000 worth of debt. From Harvard in 1991. But the whole cost of a Harvard education back then was like $22,000 a year.
Yep.
Our kids, my husband and our kids, each of their educations cost double that. So do you understand the sort of moral hazard argument that people make when they say, why can't you pay it off? It took me like a decade to do it. Why should people not get their debt paid off?
So let's start on this question about who it is who's carrying that student loan debt. It's not Harvard graduates. I appreciate that you had some, but the reality is more than 99% of the people who are carrying student loan debt are not graduating from Ivy League colleges. In fact, 40% of the people who have student loan debt do not have a college diploma. Think about that. These are people who, God bless them, they tried, right? But life happened. Pregnancy, they were trying to work 3 jobs. Their mom got sick. The family had to move to another town. Whatever it was, they weren't able to make it through to a diploma. So now look at the position they're in. Because they weren't born into a family that could pay for it, but they tried. They now earn what a high school grad earns, but they're trying to manage college-level debt, and it is crushing their bones. So I see this as a moment when we just have to kind of decide what kind of a country do we want to be? What is it that we think we do to build a future? And I heard Laura Ingraham say, the answer is make them work till they're 73. And look,
Unreal.
That is right now, in effect, the official position of the United States government. In fact, did you know that tens of thousands of people who are living on Social Security have had their Social Security checks garnished to pay for student loan debt? And sometimes it's their own because, mid-career they went back, tried to get a diploma. A lot of times, though, it's because they guaranteed a debt for a beloved child or a beloved grandchild. Now, we could decide as a nation, just keep grinding on those people as hard as you can, squeeze every last nickel out of them, and watch them get deeper and deeper into debt because you hit them with penalty fees and raised interest rates if they stumble and can't make it. Or we can decide as a nation that we actually are all better off if people try to get an education. Those who succeed, it helps them individually, but it helps all of us. And look, that's not a novel idea. When I went to college, I graduated from the University of Houston when it cost $50 a semester, 50. And the reason that I could graduate from a college that could be paid for on a part-time waitressing job was because American taxpayers invested. And they said, kid, if you're going to get out there and try, we're going to support you and help make that happen. Because that's what we want people to do. We want them to try to get an education. We don't want to just grind up their bones when they try and can't manage the debt.
The thing about this argument that I think is so disingenuous, Senator, is that we're acting as if the government doesn't constantly forgive other kinds of debt. Like rich people will take out tens of billions of dollars to make a shopping mall and then go into bankruptcy. And there's a special kind of bankruptcy just for rich people. We forgive rich people's debt. Donald Trump got his debt forgiven 5 times that way. And so the thing is that how have we gotten to a point where the government, without a second thought, Steve Mnuchin, back when he was in business, was like, you need money? Here's a check. And then when people who are regular people say, I would like some money, they say, get out and work.
That's exactly. But I'll tell you part of the reason for that. Part of the reason for that is just plain old, the rich people got lots of lobbyists. and
Yes.
lots of PR folks and lots of friends whose campaigns they have donated to.
Yeah.
Folks who are struggling with student loan debt, they don't have a big lobbying arm to get out there for them. All they've got is each other. But
That's right.
that is the key that you mentioned earlier about voting. This is something that's very popular, activates voters up and down the spectrum. And understand, when I say very popular, it's popular among people who have student loan debt, but it's also popular among people who don't. A majority of Americans who do not have student loan debt say, I want to see us forgive a chunk of student loan debt, because most of them know somebody who does. A beloved friend, a child, a coworker. They see what's happening to people and how student loan debt, trying to pay for an education, instead of education being the thing that's the equalizer, everybody gets to be on a level playing field, it actually is tilting the playing field further apart. It's dividing people more economically. And
absolutely,
that's not the America we want to be. We can do better than that.
Before I let you go, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about this story that ran today, which is not shocking, but it's not surprising, but it's shocking. Republicans pushing, it's on a totally different subject, a national abortion ban. Is that something that the Senate Democrats are bracing for, an attempt by Republicans to take their supposed federalism, throw it in the trash, and try to ban abortion nationwide?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, you're exactly right. Yes, we are braced for this. No, we are not going to let this happen. We will fight them every inch of the way. But actually, these two stories have something to do with each other. And I want you to look at where the Democrats are and where the Republicans are. The majority of Americans who have debt, don't have debt, who are young, who are old, say cancel a big chunk of student loan debt. The overwhelming majority of Americans say keep Roe versus Wade as the law of the land. The Republicans are on the short end of the stick on both of those. In a democracy, we know what the world ought to look like. A whole lot less student loan debt and a whole lot more protection for people who want access to abortion. The Republicans are fighting us every inch of the way. You know, my view is bring it on. We need to be ready to fight them back.
They have a minority position, but they are aggressive as all get out. Senator Elizabeth Warren, thank you.
Yeah, no short of major news going on here. This Roe versus Wade situation is also going to be some major news going on here. But the student loan forgiveness is also going to be a major thing here for over 40 million Americans and all the families it'll touch here as well. Not just for the 40 plus million Americans, but all the extended people that it would touch here as well. The additional family members as well. So let me know your thoughts on here. She does bring up a good point. 40% of people never even got the degrees, but yet have student loans. So very interesting. Really didn't get any benefit, but still have to pay the money. And you hear some of those stories. Oh, my mom helped me pay for those student loans into her 70s. 70s. And these are real life stories, and yet they don't think there should be any student loan help. Yeah, and if you really just think about that, you think about how long people pay on these student loans, and realistically, the government is just going to forgive this debt. The government owns 95% plus of student loans federally. They're just going to write it off on their books. They're just going to waive it. It's not even going to be taxpayer money. Remember that the government already runs a deficit. So taxpayer money is already spent. Whatever the IRS takes in is already spent. There's no taxpayer money left if you kind of think about the economics of everything. So anybody that thinks, they're going to use my taxpayer money to pay for other people's student loans, that's not really the case. All the taxpayer money every year that comes in, if you kind of really understand everything, is already spent. And remember, this is coming from somebody who we already paid off my wife's student loans. I went to college actually as well, and I dropped out and started my first business as well. So, I paid off my student loans as well. So this kind of gives you an idea. So we both paid off our student loans, and I don't feel any ill will towards anybody getting help. If you've heard my position on this channel, I think that anybody that gets help, student loans, seniors, people getting SNAP benefits, stimulus checks, mortgage assistance, rent assistance, utility assistance, which is still available right now. They just said there's still $15 billion in rent assistance. There's like $9 billion in mortgage assistance. There's utility assistance. There's a new SNAP type program, food assistance for seniors, I just covered here in a video. I'll link you to that here at the end of this video if you haven't seen that. There's all these different type of programs. There's additional SNAP benefits going out here in like over half the states still. There's all these different type of programs that go out to different groups of people, and I wish there was more. I wish there was more. And now we have all these states passing state stimulus checks, state stimulus programs, reducing property tax or property tax rebate checks. There's state child tax credit checks. There's the child tax credit checks that went out last year and are paused currently. I really wish those would go out as well. There's over 60 million children that aren't getting those right now. And they said that millions of children have fallen back into poverty because they haven't been able to pass those. A lot of people put that blame directly on Joe Manchin, Senator Joe Manchin. So yeah, and those monthly checks, they applauded that because it brought a lot of children out of poverty immediately because those monthly checks started going out. And remember, they raised the child tax credits from $2,000 a year to $3,000 and $3,600 a year. So it was an instant increase, but also millions of children got it that didn't get it before. A lot of people who didn't file taxes got it. A lot of people didn't even know that the child tax credit existed before. That's why the child tax credit is like a really big thing now, because a lot of people that didn't file taxes didn't even get the child tax credits before. That was $2,000 a year. Now everybody kind of knows about it. Yeah, so there's really a lot of different things here that people don't know about. It will go back down to $2,000 a year, but there'll be no monthly payments, and it won't be $3,000 a year or $3,600 a year. So it's still a massive decrease. Yeah, so my position is always help as many people as possible, and the government should help people in need. Let me know your thoughts. Meanwhile, another bill has been passed with checks. Let me show it to you right here on the screen. The state of Connecticut has passed, you can see here, right here from the Connecticut Mirror, the House adopts one of the largest tax cuts in Connecticut history. The $24 billion budget invests in childcare, social services, and allows Connecticut to retire $3.5 billion more in pension debt. A lot of $1 billion here going to different things here. Here's the details. There are checks involved here as well for a couple different things. The Connecticut House of Representatives approved a $24.2 billion state budget early Tuesday morning that provides more than $600 million in income tax cuts, a car tax freeze, an extended gas tax holiday, and other relief. A Democrat-controlled chamber voted 95 to 52 along party lines to approve the budget for the fiscal year that begins July 1st. The Senate, where Democrats also hold the majority, was expected to approve the plan later on Tuesday. The package, which would boost the general fund spending 6.5% above the current fiscal year, also makes new investments in childcare, mental health, and other social services. And while it funds big raises and bonuses for unionized state employees, so there are raises for a bunch of different state people here, regular people that work there. The budget provides a modest allocation for private sector workers in high-risk jobs during the pandemic. It also positions Connecticut to make $3.5 billion supplemental payment against its massive pension debt. Governor Ned Lamont billed the tax relief plan he negotiated with his fellow Democrats as the legislature's majority as the largest in state history, a claim likely to be contested throughout his gubernatorial campaign because that's roughly half of the relief is one time. Whatever. Relief is relief. These tax cuts that are going to make a difference for you right now is in the middle of this inflationary period, calling the various cuts shining lights for the state. Saying, quote, right now in this moment, because of financial strength of Connecticut, we have the ability to cut taxes and help people right now who are dealing with a very tough time. The largest one-time tax cut in the budget involves extending the gasoline tax holiday that lawmakers from both parties endorsed earlier this spring. The state suspended the 25-cent per gallon retail fuel tax from April 1st through June 30th, and the new budget extends it all the way to December 1st. So, yeah, that's a long time. So they will be suspending the 25-cent per gallon gas tax through till December 1st. So a lot of gas tax savings there for the state. Another temporary measure effectively creates a new $250 per child credit against state income tax for low and middle households. Okay, this looks like I think this is a child tax credit on the state level of Connecticut, up to a maximum of $750. You'll probably have to file, state income taxes here for Connecticut. So keep that in mind. And again, seek tax advice here if you're from Connecticut to look into this. I don't know if it's for 2021 or 2022. This is just coming out here. This would also send $125 million to single filers earning less than $100,000 per year and couples making less than $200,000. I believe with these checks here of $250 per child, okay, up to $750 checks. Okay, so keep that in mind. Rather than wait for the 2022 tax year to be complete in December, the budget stipulates that families eligible based on their 2021 earnings for the child tax credit would receive payments this summer or fall. The reoccurring tax relief in the budget is dominated by Lamont's proposals. Okay, so you can get the checks this year, but you'll have to make sure your tax returns you claim the children, or something like that. It includes boosting another income tax credit for the middle class, one that offsets a portion of municipal property tax bills from $200 to $300. This increase with another change, restoring eligibility to households without kids or seniors, would save filers another $123 million a year. So there are a couple other tax changes here where you can save $200 to $300 on property tax bills, and another for restoring eligibility for households without kids or seniors would save filers $123 million a year. The second one would cap municipal taxes and the state's chief income tax credit for the working poor equal to 30% of the federal earned income tax credit, also known as the adult tax credit, would temporarily grow to 41.5% per year or for 1 year. That's about $42 million or about $300 per household for those making less than $58,000 per year. So that's like an extra $300 if you're making less than $58,000 a year. Like I said, there's a lot of different things in here. The reoccurring tax cuts in the plan include exempting pensions and annuity earnings from state income tax, and this would save $50 million a year as well. There's also a property tax credit from $200 to $300 for basically property owners are going to get a $300 tax credit. Okay, I'm not sure if that will come back as a check or not. and a temporary reduction in sales tax, and the suspension of a 1% surcharge on restaurant meals. Like I said, there's a lot of different tax credits slash checks potentially, depending on how your taxes are done here for the state of Connecticut. So, yeah, if you're from Connecticut, you might want to definitely do your research, look into this, and see if you have to file taxes. This is a little bit of a complicated one because there's so many different things here. It's not just like a one thing here. So yeah, this kind of gives you an idea of all these states are kind of doing here, and really a lot of these states they have so much money they're going to be doing things here potentially later on this year and next year, and the federal government here as well. So I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country with stimulus checks and the federal government and everything going on here in our country. So if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click here to watch my newest video next. You can click this top video to see how May 4th is going to be a very important date. And this bottom video over here about a food benefit for seniors. Important video there here as well. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.